I'm Gab. He's Jules. Grey skies over West London, but man, not grey skies if you like the Champions League, because what a week.
Yeah,
Bayern
again.
losing, Real Madrid losing. I thought it was a tremendous finale for Milan against Bayer Leverkusen. Obviously, they lost as well. A lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
We're going to start Arsenal, Paris Saint-Germain. But first of all, I want to chuck something out to you. I'm just getting something out of my system here on social media. So on Tuesday night, we had a number of one-sided games. Obviously, Barcelona, Manchester City.
Yeah, Dortmund.
And then reaction on social media like, oh, this is all crap. Oh, everything's so one-sided, blah, blah, blah. There's no surprises, no excitement. And then on Wednesday, we have Bayern and Real Madrid losing. We have some crazy close games. I mean, the Leipzig-Juventus game.
Yeah, great.
We had some incredible individual goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Karma's kind of like a female dog, huh? Anyway, but we have to start with Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain. This was on Tuesday night. It was, I think, maybe the box office game of the round. You were there. Arsenal came out 2-0 winners. From what I saw, wasn't necessarily the most hyped up game. But we saw an Arsenal team, I think, that's really comfortable saying, you know what? We don't need to take the game to you all the time. We can also take a lead and manage a lead. We don't need to run up the score.
Yeah, that's the case. In the second half, they shut the shop, basically.
Which we've seen from them before, obviously, not just against Manchester City, but in other games as well. It's another dimension to it.
Yeah, it's quite rare at home, though, because they ended up with 35% of the ball in a home game, which is, I don't think has ever been seen before. Under Arteta at the Emirates, certainly, but it worked for them. The gap was just too big. They were just too good. They are a good 3 years ahead in their project compared to the PSG Luis Enrique project. And PSG were nowhere near the best either, in players missing or players not starting and things like that. So really good win for that. And it felt in that first half, especially because you can't really judge the second half. But in the first half, that this Arsenal team, I think they are really, really good and they are ready for these kind of nights. They will have much better opponents than PSG along the line, but it feels like there was that confidence and momentum going. It was really impressive.
You know where I'm going to go with this. We'll get to PSG in a minute, but can we just knock this on the head once and for all? Does Arsenal need a proven center forward? Kai Havertz is a 10, an 8, an 11, a pie. He plays center forward. He is a center forward. He scores goals. Yeah. Can we just end this?
Yeah, we can. But there will always be.
I know you were more aligned with me, but I got to go back to label argument. It's stupid. You see this today. You saw the bravery he showed with Donnarumma. Donnarumma late coming out. It's a mistake. We'll get to Donnarumma. But the movement to get between the two defenders, the way he jumps into it, he has this large man that's coming out the other way. And if Donnarumma punches and is late, he's taking Havertz's head off. Yeah. What do you want from a center forward?
Yeah, and also the chance for Martinelli at the start of the second half that Havertz just laid on perfectly, and the volley that is then saved by Donnarumma. This is what he do. This is what he does, and what he can do is such an amazing, I think, all around forward. Then, of course, there will be strikers like Haaland type of strikers who will score always more than Havertz because he's not a pure finisher. This is not what he does. He does so many other things. In the first half, he overlapped behind Saka, for example. He's everywhere. His football IQ is incredible. So this is what he brings. But when we had already, remember this debate last January, and people were saying, they have to go and sign a number 9. We said, but Arteta's number 9. Yeah, Arteta's number 9 is a different profile to a lot of managers' number 9 that they want. He doesn't want a Haaland. He wants somebody who can do a lot of other things, and Havertz does that.
On the Donnarumma issue, obviously he was coming back from injury, picked ahead of Safonov. Early on, he runs into Martinelli. I have no idea if this impacted some of his other goalkeeping. On the first goal, I am inclined. Obviously, he's ultimately responsible. You're behind. You can see the whole field. But certainly, if was it Nuno Mendes and
Pacho?
and William Pacho. If I'm keeping goal, I'm like, you can see Havertz moving between you. It looked to me like maybe the fault was more miscommunication on his part to his center backs or as much as him coming out late.
No. It's only on him, really. Because I think the line that Mendes and Pacho plays is because they know he's going to come out. He has to come out. The ball is in his 6-yard box. He just can't miss it. And you see Nuno Mendes' reaction after the goal. He goes like, what? Kind of again? Because this is what he does all the time. He can't defend crosses. He can't come out on crosses.
Why do you let... But if you're giving Pacho a pass on this one.
Oh, yeah, man. A goalkeeper has to punch that ball before Havertz. Right. So if you're the defenders,
right. But if the goalkeeper doesn't, this is what we don't know, right? We don't know if he called it, right?
Nah, but if you're Pacho Mendes, you just expect your goalkeeper has to come out on a cross like that.
All right, since we're picking on Donnarumma, let's pick on Donnarumma for the second goal too, which I think is, again, it's another collective breakdown. Now, I understand zonal marking, right? And I also understand that Arsenal have this much hype set piece coach who does interesting things. And look, the numbers are there. They score a ton of goals in set pieces. But this is a free kick taken from the right-hand side. I would assume Saka delivering the cross. And essentially what Arsenal do is they have like 6 guys who are all beyond the far post. And Paris Saint-Germain are defending the way you defend these. They've got people in a line. Now, what strikes me is as Saka takes his run up, all 6 guys from Arsenal come across. You see this red wave sweeping across Paris Saint-Germain's line.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering to myself, the people at the far post, why don't they react? Why don't they go with them and at least try to create some kind of density? Because it's not like Saka's going to deceive me. They're all running forward and one guy's going to stay at the far post by himself. So if I run across... No, you can tell. Everybody's gone. There's nobody there.
Yeah.
That seemed pretty elementary, right?
Yeah, but it's crowded already because Martinelli has a PSG player behind him. So is Gabriel. So I'm not sure if more PSG players in that area would have... They are already. It's not like if there was no PSG defenders or players, and then the Arsenal guys were on the road.
And then against 6 guys coming across to the near post.
But the ball just goes through Martinelli and I think Nuno Mendes, and then Gabriel and Pacho and Partey.
Partey's the big one, I think, because in fact it looked at first to me like Partey had touched it, but he doesn't.
Yeah. So I don't know if you. I think if you're Donnarumma, you expect one of your teammates to clear the ball or at least block it. Not that it would go
if you
through.
have more than 2 people there, it's more likely that they're going to clear the ball. Like if you're Donnarumma, you can't leave necessarily, you can't come out for it because obviously somebody gets a touch, right? An involuntary touch on an Arsenal player. But to me, it's also a leadership thing. Like when you've got 6 people coming across, you expect individuals to make better decisions.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want to. All right, I want to move on from Paris Saint-Germain
because
it's clearly making you sad.
I know, absolutely not. It was a very special night for me. All the family was there.
It was a win-win night.
Yeah, but there's nothing that I didn't know before that game about PSG that I learned on the night. I know their weaknesses. I know their strength. I know the gap between them and a team like Arsenal. It's a very young team. The average age was 23. Arsenal was 26. So those 3 years count. So it doesn't make me sad at all. I'm not sure I just understand your point about the second goal, but it's a free kick.
It's bad set piece defending. Luis Enrique, who I love bigging up all the time because the man's a genius, but he's a genius who does weird things.
Yeah,
and this caught them completely unprepared. You've seen Arsenal take free kicks before. I presume Paris Saint-Germain, like every other team, has a nerd who sits there watching videos all day of set pieces, right?
Yeah, they don't. No, they don't. But they don't, and they don't work on them. I still think that this one is just. We've never seen Arsenal scoring one like that, and this one went through a lot of legs. I'm just not sure. Somebody should have blocked it. I'm not sure if putting more people on the near post would have helped or not. I'm not sure if Donnarumma can do something. I know it's a cheap goal to concede, but yeah,
All right, 2 cheap goals conceded. And then we see Arsenal saying, "Hey, let's effectively play on the counter." You touched upon this before. I'm assuming not having Odegaard there, and I don't think we can emphasize this enough. We can debate who Arsenal's best player is, but I think you can arguably say Odegaard is Arsenal's most important player, right? If he's not number 1, he'll be number 2, maybe number 3. They've gone through this long stretch without him, and they do not have anybody who can do what he does. Because Merino, maybe, but I think he was on the bench the other night. He came on late, but that's it, right? And he's been injured throughout this whole thing. So can we give Arteta some credit for really adjusting on the fly.
Yeah,
Because what Trossard
absolutely.
does is completely different.
Yeah. They play they play in a different system as well, with a double pivot of Rice and Partey, and then almost 2 10s if you want in Havertz and Trossard.
I like to think of them as 2 9s.
Or 2 9s, yeah. 2 9s, that works. And it's far more duos and more than triangles, if you want, that they usually do on the right with Odegaard, Saka, and whoever's right back, and on the left at the time. So, yeah, really, really well done. I mean, they could have continued playing in the second half like they did in the first half, press high, play with a lot of intensity. I think they realized that they just didn't need to, because PSG were not strong enough anyway. So you could have you would have spent a lot of energy playing the second half like you did in the first half, but actually you were so solid enough. There was no Dembele for PSG. There was a bit of a threat when Ruiz and Colomwani came on and they hit the crossbar, but really you were in control, and they controlled that second half instead of going and play hard like they did in the first half. They didn't need to. So no, it's been good. Without Odegaard, they didn't seem to suffer too much.
Colomwani didn't start this game. I asked you off air, why does he not start? Why? And he says, well, Kang and Lee did well playing in that position on Friday night and whatever else. That's fine. But Kang and Lee just doesn't have the skill set that Colomwani does.
Yeah, different profile.
I'm not a Colomwani fan at all, as you know. But it did seem to me that if you're going to play that, then you do this heavy movement-based style, which we've seen from Lucho in the past, rather than perhaps a more direct style, which would seem to make more sense if you're away from home, when you have, Barcola and players like that.
Yeah. And I think when Colomwani came on, you saw a bit of a difference too, and that's when PSG were trying to threaten a little bit more. You're going to play long, and if you play long on Lee with Saliba and Gabriel behind him, it's always going to be difficult for him. I think Luis Enrique likes a false 9. It would have been Asensio, but he was coming back from an injury, so he was only on the bench. More than a traditional number 9. I also think that when you don't have Dembele, because you obviously decided to drop him for this game for ill discipline, then you play Desiré Doué on the right, who's young and talented, but still very early in his career.
I didn't even notice that he played, to be honest.
Yeah, he didn't do much really. So I think Colomwani would have helped maybe from kickoff, like Fabian Ruiz in midfield. I love João Neves, Vitinha, Zaire Emery. But again, they're very young, and again, this is a big game against Partey and Rice, and I think Fabian would have helped a bit more. But take nothing away from Arsenal, they were just really, really good that first half.
All right, 2 more points on this. One, Arsenal related, just a quirk. You often like talking about left-footed center backs. You like left-footed players in general. Calafiori, after the injury to Timber, was playing right back. After the injury to Timber, they sent on Kivior. And Calafiori moves to right back. Now, left-footed right backs are extremely
very rare.
Can we tell people why that is?
Yeah, one, I think there's obviously, as we know, more right-footed players in general than left-footed. So it's easy to find a right back, or even to move somebody from another position, like a right-footed centre-back, into right back. And as we've said before, I think remember we had that discussion about having 2 left-footed centre-backs together. A lot of managers, I don't really know why, don't really like that. And I guess there's a reluctancy maybe of playing a left-footed, like a left-footed left back at right back, for example.
Well, it's not. I think it has to do with the way your body shape is when you're defending.
Yeah, but you have right-footed players who play left back.
I think those players, right-footed players who play left back, generally, not in all cases, but they spend more time doing it because there's more right-footed. If you're the left-footed defender, you will always play on the left, right? So they're more accustomed to it. And I think there's also, since most players are right-footed, when you are let me get this right. When you're a left-footed right back and you're playing against an inverted winger, in other words, a left-footed left wing on the other team, it's a lot more difficult, especially when you're backtracking. It's a lot easier for when you're playing against a non-inverted winger. It's a lot easier for the left winger to go around you on the outside and put in a cross. I think that is generally the thinking. It's a quirk of the fact that 85% of human beings happen to be right-handed or right-footed.
But Calafiori did so well. In first half, he came into midfield. At some point, he was right midfield. He's an outstanding signing, I think.
You don't have issues, some disciplinary issues, perhaps, or do you like that kind of? All right.
I just think he's amazing, and I think everybody at the club says the same. Arteta, the other players. I just think if he stays fit, that's the only worry I have, because already we've seen a few niggles there and there. But if he stays fit, it's an amazing addition to the squad in terms of versatility, intelligence, solidity. There's a moment in the first half where he drives the ball forward. It's just like so good.
Final point on Dembele. When we see these stories come out, you talked about an argument on Friday night. Normally, there's a drip of details that comes out. Mm-hmm. Do we know? Is everything forgotten?
He'll be back for the game against Nice. It was just disagreement on some of the debriefing that they did after the game on Friday. Luis Enrique not happy with a couple of decisions that he made during the game. Dembele responding, and Luis Enrique saying, I don't think you're in the right mindset to play. It's a massive call. If PSG had played some Champions League semi-final on Tuesday, he would have taken him. Yeah. So.
And when Luis Enrique, in his official quote, when he was asked about it, he said that it's a team issue. But I think what he means there is that when a player, especially in a team debrief, does not, any challenges or engages the coach in a way the coach finds disrespectful, the thinking in general, you're not disrespecting me, you're disrespecting your teammates. Like that's always the line, right?
And
it's like
big
teachers.
On discipline. He's big on discipline. So the club supported him, but I've got no issue if that's his call,
All right, enough Arsenal. How about some quick hits instead?
Let's go, Gab.
Real Madrid fall away to Lille 1-0. Jules, Carletto Ancelotti said the derby against Atletico, not an excuse.
No.
They just weren't good enough.
No, they were not, Gabby. They were not. Lille deserved the victory, the greatest win in the club's history. Obviously,
at least in Europe, they did win the league.
But even in the league, they never beat somebody like Real Madrid anyway. The holders, the best team in the world with Man City. So amazing, really. Bruno Genesio's plan worked perfectly. Put a lot of players inside, density, all of that. We didn't see much of Bellingham or Valverde, even Vinicius. Apart from the first 10 minutes and the last 10 minutes, there was nothing from Real Madrid. So well done, Jonathan David with the goal on penalty. And Bruno Genesio becomes only the third manager to beat Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, and Pep Guardiola in Europe. And the other two are Jurgen Klopp and Diego Simeone. So well done to Genesio.
It's keeping pretty good company there, Bruno.
Yeah, well done. Super sub John Duran comes off the bench to score the only goal as Bayern fall at Villa Park to Unai Emery and Aston Villa. Gab, deserved. And are you a bit worried for company now?
I'm not actually concerned about company at all. He started Musiala on the bench, which surprised me a little bit. Came on the second half. Unai Emery played a very defensive, counter-attacking game, and it makes sense because Vincent Kompany plays a very high line. The goal obviously came on the counter, and by the way, John Duran, you can't say enough about him. I think he's averaging a goal every 43 minutes, 5 goals this season off the bench.
Incredible.
And I think he also scored in the League Cup, but as you know, I don't count that.
Yeah.
Plus, I think that might have been a penalty. But I don't have an issue with Emery saying, all right, you have the ball, and we're going to hit you on the counter because we have fast people. And because Kim and Upamecano essentially played the halfway circle. Upamecano was lucky not to get sent off, I think, in the first half. So you have a game plan, you execute the game plan well, and you stick to it. Equally, I am curious what would have happened if Bayern had scored, because they could have scored. And shout out, by the way, to Emi Martinez. Again, not always my favorite person in the world, but he is a ridiculously good goalkeeper on nights like this. 2 enormous stops, which is why if I'm company, I'm not concerned. Bad night for the other half of Madrid, too, as Atleti get thumped by Benfica, 4-0. Jules, not good, and so much for taking the momentum of Correa's late goal in the derby into Europe.
Yeah, humiliation, really, because it could have been more than 4. They were battered. They offered nothing with the ball, without the ball. Simeone making 3 substitutions at halftime. It was that bad. I think he got his team wrong at the start. Even
made
some
5
of the
changes,
subs.
I think, from the derby.
Yeah, the first one was sorry. I thought you meant during the game. 5 from the derby. No on Gallagher, for example, which was weird because Benfica are a good team. They run a lot. They're very intense since Bruno Lage arrived on the bench to replace Roger Schmidt. And it was just a night to forget for Atletico. And the problem is, away from home in Europe, it's not the first one, and that's also really worrying. And meanwhile, Gabby, the inquiry into the suspension of the Madrid derby continues in Spain. Atleti have already banned 1 fan for life after what we saw on Sunday night. And the stand from which the missiles were thrown at Thibaut Courtois will be closed for 3 home games You happy with that so far?
Yeah. I think it's a step. I want them to go and identify more fans, but that's what the authorities do. Atleti can presumably identify the guy, or at least one of the people, straight away and ban him. We always say there's stuff that clubs can do of their own accord, and then there's other things for the authorities that'll come. I think closing the stand for 3 home games does make a difference. And by the way, it's not like some people say, oh, but then they'll just move to somewhere else in the stadium. No, it's actually difficult to do because the stadium's generally sold out and there's season ticket holders elsewhere. I think it sends a message, but we need to have more prosecutions. I also hope Atleti change their policy. And if you're a loser who shows up wearing that ugly
balaclava or mask,
whatever kind of mask you're wearing, and you're running around in the stands in it, immediately you send people out there to crack skulls and you take this guy out because there's no reason you should do that. Barcelona destroy Young Boys 5-0. With hindsight, maybe resting everyone against Osasuna away wasn't so clever, was it?
That's what we said, didn't we, on Monday as well, of the 2 games. Really,
Young Boys have had a horrible start in the league as well,
terrible,
by the way.
Yeah, terrible. Lewandowski scoring early too, as well to help, and then there was quite a long spell without a goal, and then they finished them off later. Good win, especially after the Monaco defeat. They had to win, not to be with just 1 point or 0 point after 2 games. So well done, and then you bring back that momentum, I guess, before the international break.
Was it the first goal where they had like it looked like they strung together 87 passes, or was it one of the goals? It was
one of the goals. Yeah, it's just there was too much.
It's like they were playing against like traffic cones.
Yes, absolutely. And there was a wild one, Gabi, in Leipzig. 10-man Juventus come from behind away in Germany to win 3-2.
Yeah, it was funny. So the SOS score opening the scoring, and we talked about sort of the Thiago Motta effect and bringing energy to these players. And somebody made the point that when they lose the ball, they run hard back, which is not they run back at pace, which didn't happen at Ligue, mainly because they weren't forward. They were back already. I thought. I mean, you talk about confidence builders. I thought this is tremendous for Thiago Motta for getting buy-in from their players. Leipzig, not a good fit. They lose Bremer after just inside of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And you look at the back, and you have Cambiaso and Gatti, the right back, the kid Savona.
Yeah.
All these guys, you're wondering, who are they? Well, guess what? He puts their faith in them, and they do well. Cambiaso, by the way, is playing on a level which I think right now is ridiculous.
Cross for the Vlahovic goal, the first one.
And then Vlahovic gets 2 goals, so there's no issue with the center forward. And I'll leave you to decide which goal you enjoyed more, Vlahovic or Conceição, because that thing where he turns around inside out.
Yeah, completely. I mean, Conceição, because he's the winning goal as well with 10 men, as we said, coming back from behind. Great, although the second Vlahovic goal is lovely too. But yeah, I'll go for Conceição. And for such a young player, at the end of a game where he came on to replace Nico Gonzalez, who also got injured in the first half hour or so, and to still have the composure at the end to go between the 2 defenders and then score the way he does.
Yeah. Wonderful. 2 other quick points about this. Douglas Luiz, look, you're already in the doghouse. If you come on and you act like that on the free kick where he gave away the penalty, where you're putting your hands up,
you're supposed scared of the ball.
Yeah, I think what happened, I think he wasn't concentrated. Because if you're concentrated, the free kick is coming, right? If you're concentrated and you're with it, you can take evasive actions. You don't need to. It's when you're not concentrated, that's when you make the instinctive gesture of putting your hands up. You need to do better. Di Gregorio, I think unlucky, but his hand, he's got long arms. There's, but they would have scored anyway otherwise. Liverpool down Bologna 2-0, and the Premier League leaders stay on track, Jules.
Yeah, that's right, Gabi. Good by McAllister and Salah. Salah becoming the African player with the most goals in Champions League history, overtaking Didier Drogba. Great night for him. But it was a bit nervy at times, and Bologna played really well, I thought. They pressed them well. They recovered the ball high. They hit the woodwork twice. Danendo really should have scored. So the score like that, 2-0 on paper, doesn't really reflect the trouble that Liverpool had at times trying to play out from the back and getting caught.
Let me remind Bologna that the 3 best players from last season, 2 of them, Xerxes and Calafiori, have left.
Yeah.
The other one, Lewis Ferguson, is still injured. He's coming back from an ACL. And also Castro, who's been phenomenal for them, the Argentine, he was injured. He started on the bench last night. So really well done to Bologna.
Victor Boniface scores the only goal as Bayer Leverkusen beat Milan 1-0 in Germany. But Gab, Paulo Fonseca said this was Milan's best performance of the season. Is this an odd thing to say?
It's an odd thing to say because your best performance of the season was in the derby when you flattened Inter and you won. But it was interesting because Milan changed things around a little bit. They played Loftus-Cheek in midfield. Leverkusen had a ton of the ball. They created chances. They didn't score until early in the second half. And then they unleashed a secret weapon, which is not so secret, which is Alvaro Morata. Milan had a ton of opportunities. I thought they should have had a penalty as well. So I think, again, if maybe you wait the last half hour more, but you come off there buzzing, feeling like you should have gotten more from one of the best teams in Europe. So I think you can turn this into a positive, despite the fact that you're still on 0 points.
Yeah, true. 0 points after 2 games.
And you have Real Madrid coming up in 2 rounds. But hey, Phil Foden back in the starting lineup. Thank you, Manchester City. Thank you also for that the tweet explaining. Yes. Yeah. Hey, look, this is what happened. Now he's back. That they destroy Slovan Bratislava away 4-0. I think they missed him.
Yeah, you're right. And he scored and assisted on his first start of the season, which is great also for his own confidence and his own momentum. And against a really bad team, let's be honest. Slovan Bratislava are not good.
It's funny, Weiss, Kuchka. I'm having like flashbacks like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And was it Kashi, the Georgian defender, who's also like 45?
And to be fair, it was probably the best game to start Foden again after the preseason, the summer, the start of the season, a bit of the issues that he had. Because you knew that Slovan was so bad that he would have a good game. He did. He played 78 minutes, I think, which is perfect. And then he's ready for the weekend. So it's another option now for Pep. And do you bring him straight into the team in the Premier League?
He's come on as a sub like 50 times. So I think he's ready.
Yeah, let's see who is replacing that. Bruno Fernandes' red card against Tottenham last weekend in the Premier League has been overturned, Gabby, which means that he won't face a ban. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm okay. You and I talked about this. We thought a yellow would have been sufficient. Others have made different points because he slipped. And if we say that, then he shouldn't be banned. I mean, even in general, the idea with bans where, somebody else gets the benefit, I'm not 100% comfortable with. But no, in this case, of course. Well done. Jules, you've made your thoughts on Erik ten Hag very clear. Should United let him go? The 3 most talked about names to replace him right now are Thomas Tuchel, Simone Inzaghi, and Gareth Southgate. Please rank them in your preferred order in case Omar Barada and Jim Ratcliffe and Dan Ashworth and the rest of the gang and Jason Wilcox, in case the Brain Trust is listening.
Yeah, I'm sure they all are listening. By the way, good luck to try to get Simone Inzaghi out of Inter Milan, by the way, and try to poach him.
Let's say you can wave a magic wand. You can have anyone. I mean,
so
Tuchel
in that case,
Southgate are obviously unemployed. So it's easier.
In that case, I would go for Simone Inzaghi in first because, as we've been saying many times together, he's doing an amazing job. He's completely underrated, I think, by a lot of people within the game. But what a job he's been doing at Inter Milan. He not just is a good coach, but he's a good person, I think, to have within your club, to be sat on your bench. So I would have him first. I would have Thomas Tuchel second. I know it's a bit difficult to work with him sometimes, and he's very demanding, and he's got a strong personality, let's put it that way. But I still think that Thomas Tuchel is an amazing manager. And then we'll have the other one.
Okay. Who's also a good person. On the Inzaghi thing, I think you need to first decide what is our strategy here? Because if we want to win straight away and be more plug and play, I think the answer is Tuchel, shorter term. Relative to Inzaghi. I think Inzaghi would have issues because I think in the Premier League, it would take him more time. You see this. He rotates everybody all the time. That doesn't go down well here in England. It's a cultural thing. I mean, Pep rotates quite a bit too, but he's Pep. He's in his own little. He's in his own little box. I don't think Simone Inzaghi speaks English. There's a lot of hurdles. So if you want to go down the project route, like you've gone down the project route for like the last 10 years, then Simone Inzaghi. If you say we need a lift now, so we start building a new stadium, whatever, then maybe Tuchel is the option.
Yeah. And speaking of Inzaghi, Gabby, Inter makes 7 changes and roll over Red Star Belgrade 4-0.
What did I say? He rotates 7 changes.
Yeah.
Guys come in, guys go out. They all know what they're supposed to be doing. Hakan Çalhanoğlu is there in the big games. Tremendous free kick. I mean, he started Marco freaking Arnautovic and maybe Taremi up front. Taremi exceptional. Arnautovic scoring. Well done to him. This works for him because he spends so much time doing boring tactical stuff on the training pitch because the players are used to it and he has the local cred. Again, you move to a new country. I don't know you'd have that from day one. Jules, huge performance from Brest, who went 4-0 away to Salzburg. We love an underdog story. They said top of the table in the Champions League. They are perfect, even on goal difference. Only Borussia Dortmund ahead of them. But does it help that they've only played Austrian clubs? Brest, if Austria were to annex, that they just had elections, maybe they could annex the town of Brest.
It's a long way out, though.
I know. They could be like an exclave.
Yeah, it could
they
be
would dominate.
Yeah, they would. I mean, Sturm Graz at home, you beat them. Okay, it's kind of, you could have seen it coming. But to go away to Salzburg, not that I think Salzburg are that amazing, but still to go there and win 4-0 the way they did, they were so efficient, so good, so clinical, brilliant. I'm so happy for them. Eric Roy, they got battered at the weekend in Ligue 1, and then they go in the Champions League and batter another team. Wonderful.
And on Brest, I think compared to like a Slovan Bratislava or even a Salzburg, these teams, when they play domestically, they're used to having the ball all the time. They're built to attack. Brest don't play that way in Ligue 1. They know how to play on the counter as well when they choose to. In some ways, I wonder if they have an edge in the Champions League.
Yeah, maybe. Atalanta win away Shakhtar Donetsk. Well, in Gelsenkirchen 3-0. Gab Gasperini knows what he's doing.
Not a surprise. There's a reason they're the reigning Europa League champions. Slayers of Bayern never losing. They turned into Bayern losing to Atalanta, if you see what I did there. 3 goals, put the game away in the first half. When he's good, he's really, really good. And he's another one who likes his rotations as well. It's a first half hat trick for Karim Adeyemi as Borussia Dortmund demolished Celtic 7-1. Jules, this was 6-1 at halftime.
Yeah, it was 1-1 after 9 minutes. And then suddenly after that, just not really sure. I don't know if this Celtic team is a bit naive, maybe, if they just think they can play the same way that they do in Scotland in the league and then be okay. I know they had a really good first game against Slovan Bratislava, but this is another level. As average as Dortmund have been so far this season, we say every week, they are still a very good team going forward. If on top of that, your goalkeeper in Kasper Schmeichel is having a shocking evening, if the XG is like 2.5 and they score 7 goals or something like that, it's just ridiculous. So bad night.
But this is they're another example they talked about with Brest, right? Where you have a team that's dominant in the league. So you have a manager who wants to play attacking football, open football, and outplay the opposition. I think it is a big ask to go into the Champions League and suddenly send a message to everybody, hey, let's all be more cautious. You know, let's not quite park the bus, but it's Dortmund away, it's the Westfalenstadion. I think this is another hurdle, and this is, again, why somebody like Brest might be better placed.
Another Champions League match day and another defensive blunder costing them points as Girona lose at home to Feyenoord.
Yeah, so we saw this from Gazzaniga here. It was a mix-up with the defenders, 3-2. It was a bit of a messy game. Both teams had a penalty. Neither one was able to convert. Girona, they weren't that bad against Paris Saint-Germain, but I thought they were really poor in this game against Feyenoord. But we should rejoice. Donny van de Beek, first goal since the final week of the 2021-22 season, playing for Everton against
Arsenal.
There you go.
And he scored one that was disallowed as well, but he went mad celebrating, and then he scored another one.
Monaco come from 2 goals down to grab a draw against Dinamo Zagreb. Jules, was this all part of Adi Hutter's master plan? Let me lull them into a false sense of security.
I don't know if it was, but the weather was terrible. The pitch was terrible. It was
a mud pile.
Yeah, it was flooded. You had water puddles everywhere. Well done for Zagreb to take the lead. 2 really good goals, Sucic and then Baturina, who looks really like we know how promising he is, but he looks like a player.
I thought he was still like 19. He's not. He's 21. I feel like we've heard about him for a long time.
True. Sucic is 20 only, and they are the 2 most promising talent coming out of Zagreb now. And then Monaco, I like the fact that they didn't give up really and went back and scored 2 goals. The first one on set pieces, the second one on a penalty. really good from them to get a point after the win against Barcelona, because losing in Zagreb would have almost kind of ruined or wasted what they did so good at home against Barcelona in match day 1. So well done, 4 points after 2 games. They'd be happy. And again, they've showed that kind of character before. So Adi Eto'o was really happy after the game. PSV Eindhoven and Sporting battled to a 1-1 draw. Gab, 2 nice goals though.
Even nicer than the goals. And I don't even know if this exists online, maybe on some PSV Luke de Jong fan channel. But the move the big man makes, he does a classic sombrero, which, hey, look, when Neymar does it, fine. But you don't expect Luke de Jong. I thought of you immediately.
Still bad de Jong.
Whatever. And then he he flushes his finisher. He doesn't control it. But still, it looked cool.
Yeah.
Tremendous goals. Schouten and Braganza. Our man Peter Bosz needs to win these games. It's interesting. You can see Peter Bosz, I think this is a one-dimensional team. Ruben Amorim, on the other hand, he can beat you in so many different ways, and they got back into the game. So it's a big point for Sporting away, I think.
And they could have won it. Braganza at the end with that chance, and he slipped. I don't know what he did, or he fall over on his own.
I think he just messed up his feet.
Yeah.
Christos Solis scores a worldie, and Brugge get a big road win away to Sturm Graz. Jules, can't tell you how happy I am for my boy, Mr. Champions League, Hans Van Aken.
Yeah, goal of the night for me, even better than the Vlahovic one or the Salah one, who was similar.
Or the Schouten one or the Conceição. There were so many
but Solis
tremendous
for me
goals.
on Wednesday night is the goal. The first touch and then the finish, the curler is just amazing. And well done for Bruges. We also had Simon Mignolet in goal, having a good second half, making a good few saves.
This is the same Simon Mignolet who played for Liverpool, by the way. It's not another dude with the same name.
No.
It feels like it was 20 years ago.
Yeah, you're right, actually. He must be 52 years old, Mignolet now. But yeah, good win for Bruges. Stuttgart are held at home by Sparta Prague, and Gab, once again, Sebastian Hoeneß's team playing well, but leaving points on the table.
Yeah, well, obviously we saw that against Real Madrid in the opener. I thought they played really, really well. They created a ton of chances and then undone. But again, you talk about tremendous goals. Khan Karinen, that free kick. Beautiful. I don't even know if it was the best free kick we've seen, because Çalhanoğlu's was pretty sweet as well. But to me, it just kind of underscores the entertainment of this round of Champions League games.
And Enzo Mio with another goal as well for Stuttgart. He's
giving them the lead
really,
early.
Really developing.
He's 2 games in. He's been one of the best midfielders in the tournament so far.
Absolutely.
Wojciech Szczesny's move to Barcelona, finally official. Jules, how much does he move the needle?
It's good to have him. I'm sure he's in good shape. He looked in good shape. It's only really a few months without training, you think. So it makes a lot of sense for them. Hansi Flick, very careful to not disturb too much the balance of the dressing room, saying, well, let's have competition between Szczesny and Iñaki Peña. Come on. And we know. That Szczesny is going to be the starter, but I think it's good to have a keeper of this caliber, this quality from now on until the end of the season. Let's hope that he's not too rusty, but I don't think that would be a problem. More Barca, Gab. Now, the fans will be banned for travelling to their next Champions League away game. Why?
This is going to be the game against Red Star Belgrade. It's because when they went to Monaco, somebody cleverly decided to make a banner that says Flick Heil, which is obviously a clear reference to Sieg Heil, which is associated with the Nazis. What I don't understand here, look, you're responsible for your fans. I have no issue with your away fans being banned. But the stadium, the Stade Louis II in Monaco, where this happened, is absolutely teeny tiny. So you should be able, and there's cameras everywhere, like everywhere in Monaco, like they follow you into the bathroom. You should be able to find the people who did this, because I wonder, given Barcelona coming to Monaco, there's a lot of very wealthy people who are Barcelona fans there. Do we know that they were part of the traveling Barcelona contingent? And if they are, shouldn't they be banned as opposed to people who maybe bought tickets off of Barcelona fans or whatever? Like, I think this is
who get punished.
This is a crystal clear situation. I mean, again, clubs still need to be held, but you can do more. I think working with the local authorities to find the people, because this is so apart from the offensive nature, this is just such a stupid way to hurt your club.
Yeah.
Samuel Eto'o has been banned from Cameroon men's and women's national team games for 6 months Jules, I guess the sports minister of Cameroon will be happy.
Yeah, what a ride it's been since Samuel Eto'o was elected as the Cameroon FA president. Because as you kind of hinted there, there's a massive war between him and the sports minister and the government overall. It's been so messy, really. But he's gone too far in many respects. He was fined by the African Confederation. Because he had an online gambling deal. He insulted people. He was obviously at war with the current Cameroon head coach. I mean, it's an absolute mess.
There's the audio of him on the phone with the president of the second division
Ligue.
team, Victoria, I think, saying things that maybe he shouldn't have said.
Like they should be promoted, stuff like that. I mean, it's just, how, in a way, I think to tarnish your image very quickly if you're Samuel Eto'o.
And this specific thing, of course, goes back to the Brazil-Cameroon game at the Under-20 Women's World Cup where he completely lost his rag with the officials.
19 ultras belonging to Milan and Inter have been arrested in a wide-ranging police operation. Gab, what's this about?
So, all right. So at the San Siro, outside the stadium, if you go there's essentially parking concessions, essentially squares where you can go and park your car and pay. There's obviously people selling merchandise, usually not official licensed merchandise. And there's sandwich stands, places where you can get the salamandra, the traditional Milanese sausage, which you get in a sandwich. Really good if you eat pork sausage. The problem is all these businesses apparently are part of a racket run by some old Milan and Inter ultras. They get the license to sell this stuff, but as according to the accusation, these people have been arrested. Essentially, they were intimidating. They were taking kickbacks in exchange for supporting certain businesses, certain parking people. Basically, it's a protection racket that these guys were running, and it's kind of illuminating because one of these leaders, I think it was one of the Inter guys, he's cut an audio, and then this guy has big far right ties, right? He's a self-identified sort of far right, fascist sympathizer. And he says, I don't care if they sing, referring to one of these sandwich shops. I don't care if the guy sings Bella Ciao, which is a partisan anthem associated with the left wing. And if you ever saw Money Heist or Casa de Papel, it's that song, as long as he pays up. So it's kind of like the world crumbling in the sense that these people don't really care about the football. They don't even care about politics and ideology. This is purely, if proven, according to the police, a criminal racket. And that's all it is. You ready? It's time! It's time! It's time! It's Textor time! Reports in France suggest he's now looking at two clubs in the championship, having been thwarted in his effort to buy Everton.
I guess you miss out on Everton, so you think, hey, let's go and get another English club somewhere in the championship. That write Le Progrès newspaper, which is the local newspaper in Lyon, reporting it. I don't know who the clubs are. I don't know. I don't know if the names are either. But if you are a fan of this club that John Textor, we just warn you that you will have a lot of Textor time in your life.
I also don't know if he buys a club in the championship, does he need to sell his Crystal Palace holdings, or does he only need to do it if the club gets promoted?
Yeah, only if they get promoted, I guess, right?
Okay, but then, sorry, just think how...
Unless they play each other in the League Cup or FA Cup.
But just think how demented this is. Because if this is the case, and let's say he buys a club, I don't know, name any old championship club, because I don't follow the championship.
Like Sheffield United?
As you know. If he buys, say, Sheffield United, and Sheffield United get promoted, then he has to go and sell his Palace shares in double quick time. So,
true. Or he sells Sheffield United then. We had Lotito when Salernitana came up. No? Is it Lotito who owns Lazio and Salernitana?
Yeah, and he had to put in a blind trap. But no, in this country, they actually have tougher laws, which they actually enforce. Yeah. I'm just wondering, though, if he's already having trouble selling his Palace shares for the price that he wants, because let's face it, I'm not going to buy something. I'm not going to buy 45% of something if I only have 25% of the say. Yeah. And the guy with 15%, Steve Parish, ultimately is the big boss. Yeah. And by the way, whatever you think of Steve Parish, you and I both have had a run-ins with him.
Yeah.
The guy has been brilliant in the way he set this up. Yeah. And the fact that Palace are still up there. So this doesn't make sense to me.
No.
Sell your shares first and then go and buy a championship. Look at these championship clubs. They're all losing money. They're all desperate to sell.
Yeah.
I don't get that.
Italy are bidding for the 2029 Europe Women's Euros, Gab. If they end up losing 2032 for the men, I guess this is a consolation. Or they could have both.
They'll have both. They're not going to lose 2032. They've already been awarded it together with Turkey. Now, unfortunately, they only have one stadium that's compliant right now, but you have some time to work on it. If the 2029 Women's Euros, I genuinely don't know if they have, I would assume they maybe have different standards, but if this hurries it along for 2029, if it lights a fire under some people, because surely, I know it's the Women's Euros, and obviously we saw it when we had it here in England and stuff. You will often use smaller grounds for some of the for some of the earlier games. Obviously, I think they played games at Brentford, which holds I think 20,000. They played grounds like that, but still for the final, for the late stages, you're going to want to use the Olimpico or San Siro. So if this helps you get money to cut through the BS and go and upgrade these stadiums, then by all means, let's do it. If it means that you can only play in teeny tiny stadiums and Turin at the Juventus stadium and play every single game there, I don't know if that's a good idea. Yeah. So BN Sport reportedly still have not paid up after acquiring part of the Ligue 1 rights. Jules, what's going on? We're always told how much money these people have.
Yeah. They still haven't. It's a bit complicated, to be fair. And we don't need to go into details. But basically, they're not happy with some of the rights that have been shared on social media by other broadcasters and things like that. So they want, I think, written rules.
Assurances.
Yeah, assurances.
They have an exclusive.
Proper, and things like that. So also, I think they're eyeing up a deal with Canal Plus to be able to show the Ligue 1 game that they have right now also for Canal Plus. So it's a bit complicated. They will pay. I don't think it's the problem of them not wanting to pay. Like you said, they just want to be more assurances. But surely this could have been sorted out when they bid it. I don't know when they bid for this rights. And I think the French league is such a mess. Sometimes, it's just, I don't think they're helping themselves really to be in this situation.
I'm guessing there's lawyers charging by the hour for both sides on this one.
Probably.
But it also strikes, I can see their point saying, because they only have one game, right?
Yeah, so they're only 100 million a year.
I can see their point. If I sign an exclusive deal, right, normally written into the contract is that, okay, but then you're going to make sure that nobody else shares these images and stuff like that, right? And then if you don't enforce it, I take recourse, but I don't just not pay. That's the part that's odd. Unless they have no faith in. I
don't know. I think they want to pay. I think they will pay eventually, but they want this all ironed out before they make the payment, I guess. Red Bull CEO Oliver Mitzlaff said in an interview with the German magazine Kicker that other than Tyler Adams, they, as in the Red Bull group, got very little out of their investment in MLS.
Yeah.
It's not very nice.
Well, he was asked, apart from Tyler Adams, who, by the way, I'm assuming he's injured again.
I
hope he gets well. They asked him, is it fair to say you got nothing and out of this, and also their investment in Brazil, where I think
Bragantino,
and he says, absolutely right. MLS is developing, but it's developing far too slowly and is still far away from the standard we would imagine for a country like the USA. MLS
is that harsh but fair, would you say?
It's going to be 30 years of MLS in 2 years' time, right? That's just to put in context. The league was founded in its first season in 1996.
Yeah.
I think in terms of a source for players for Red Bull, the numbers are there, right? It's Tyler Adams and nobody else, right? Who's obviously come through and gone. In terms of growth, you'll find a lot of fans in the U.S. who will tell you that, there are some owners who are just, it's like a Ponzi scheme. Some owners, not all owners, are happy to play in half-empty stadiums, and, the wage bills are tiny, and they collect money from the league, and they collect money whenever they do another franchise fee, and somebody puts down $300 million to go and buy franchise, right? That is the accusation that's leveled against some people. I could see people being disappointed with the way it's gone. And you can look at it many different metrics, and it's an eternal debate. But yeah, they've been there since 2006. I didn't realize it's been that long since they took over the old New York, New Jersey Metro Stars.
Yeah.
So I think he has a right to come out and say this because they are shareholders, and it's been 18 years. Christine Sinclair will retire at the end of the NWSL season. Jules, put her achievements in context.
A legend of the game, really, that's helped the women's game grow massively. 41 years old, as we said, 190 international goals for Canada. Every time we mention the Cristiano record, we mention the Sinclair record as well, and he will never catch her. 331 caps.
Don't let Cristiano hear you say that. He only needs what, like 70 goals?
Yeah. At club level as well. I mean, amazing, really amazing servant to the game as well. Always an example.
When I was looking at this to underscore the differences between the men's and the women's game and the challenges that the women's game faces, I was shocked to see that she has played more games for Canada, 331, many more games than she has at club level, 287. That's odd to me. And it has to do with the fact that, the national team is often a much bigger draw. So, and they often don't stop the leagues, right? When you have international competition in the women's game. So the league continues without, the star players. It's just a reminder to me that this is a different sport, and it maybe doesn't necessarily need to follow the model of the men's game. Especially specifically.
Yeah, you've said that many times. In the
I just feel really strongly about this.
No, I know, and I think you're right, absolutely right. But why are they not sitting down and restructure the whole calendar and everything, and do their own model instead of following the men's one?
I think they should. I think they need strong leadership to find their own model, because I think, as it stands right now, from an administrative perspective, in the vast majority of the world, the men's game is subsidizing the women's game.
Yeah.
So if they say we want to do something different that works for us and that we can run ourselves, I don't think FIFA are going to necessarily. I don't think they're going to object to it.
No,
right?
They shouldn't.
But I think there has to be a better way to set this up to provide more opportunities for people. And Cristiano, by the way, Christine may be ahead of you in international goals, but with her, even though she's retiring at the end of the season, she can score a few more goals. She will never catch your club goal scoring record. She has 107.
A Sheffield Wednesday fan who made a tasteless joke after West Brom supporter died at Hillsborough has had his season ticket revoked, Gab. But not just that.
Yes, this guy came out on social media after the West Brom fan passed away in the Leppings Lane, which is the stand at Hillsborough, Sheffield Wednesday Stadium. He said, we got to 98, and now with this, we're at 99. Let's get to 100. It's a reference to the Hillsborough tragedy, in which so many Liverpool supporters lost their lives years ago. It's completely tasteless and stupid. What I like about this is effectively that he was exposed and people took action. So I wouldn't expose him further. His name is Richard Crisp.
Okay.
He looks like a man in his 50s. Right. Crisp is a stupid last name.
It is, yeah.
And what's happened is entities that are associated with him have said, we're not talking prosecutions. We're not talking putting you in jail for making a tasteless joke. We're saying, I don't want to be associated with you if you in public are going to say these things. So Sheffield Wednesday revoked his season ticket.
Good.
He's a project manager in some company. He lost his job.
Good.
The employer says, I don't want you working here.
Yeah.
You bring shame on
Fair
my company.
Enough, of course.
And the golf club that he belongs to, called the Hillsborough Golf Club, apparently, also said, you're not welcome here as a member.
Good.
Yeah, actions like this have to have
his wife
consequences.
left as well, no? Somebody said to me his wife left.
Stop it.
No, I promise you. I promise you.
Come on now. Lionel Messi, we talked about him at the weekend. He's very angry with the referee at the end of the game, blah, blah, blah. Sounds like he channeled that anger productively last night.
Much better night last night, playing against the champions, obviously, the Columbus Crew. And a famous win for Inter Miami, who'd been, I think, drawing the last 3 games. 2 goals from Messi, 1 from Suarez. Within 3 minutes, all on each side of the break. as well for the win, which guaranteed them the Supporters' Shield.
They win the Supporters' Shield, which
Yeah.
is the trophy that's awarded to the team that has the highest points total in the regular season.
Yeah. So regular season, you go into the playoff, so you don't win the league because you're top of the table at the end, basically, but you still win the Supporters' Shield, which is good because it shows your consistency that you've been the best. The best.
It's
team
the best
around
measure of who the best team is.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
in MLS.
So first one of maybe more for this season coming from Messi and Inter Miami.
Yeah, maybe they'll win the title.
Yeah, exactly. Chichi, who we love dearly, has been signed by Flamengo, Gabby.
This is Brazilian football. There is a big
Every
short.
3 minutes.
Everything is short term. Flamengo were fourth on the table. They had no chance of qualifying for the UEFA Champions League. They never do.
No.
And he's gone. I mean, I think they're fourth. They're some distance back. Obviously, he must be on good money. And Flamengo choosing to move on. Look, I think at this stage of his career, with everything he's achieved, Chichi is coaching because he enjoys coaching.
Yeah.
Enjoys living in Rio or whatever. It's always sad when you part ways, but I think he's going to be okay with it.
I think he's going to be
And I
okay.
think if he wants to coach again, he will coach again real soon. Andres Iniesta has been without a club since the end of last season. I think that's fair to say that's probably by choice.
Yeah.
And according to reports, will be announcing his retirement soon. He's 40 years old.
Yeah, and he's been playing in Japan
And in the Emirates.
In the Emirates for the last few seasons. Incredible player, really outstanding with Barcelona, of course, and that great era of Guardiola, Messi, and Xavi, and Busquets, etc. And then for Spain, obviously, the 2010 World Cup final. Just unplayable at time, unstoppable, so graceful as well with the ball. It's just magnificent player.
It's funny, and I think he was one of the greatest in that midfield trio. He was my least favorite, and I'm trying to say this in a way that won't get people wound up. But sometimes I heard people, and this is maybe what made him stand out. I've had people I've had debates with people where they've told me that, well, who would you take, Iniesta or Zidane? And they would tell me I would take Iniesta. Now, Iniesta was so much part of a collective in that Barcelona team that it's almost like if Zidane had played with Busquets and Xavi, maybe he would have been an Iniesta type player. Not to compare, obviously Zidane different as well, different body shape, whatever. To me, it really was that trio, and I think had a multiplier effect and made everybody even better than they already were. But no, tremendous player, and young guns out there, go check him out. He's on YouTube.
Yeah. Fabio Maresca, who's not related to the Chelsea manager, was supposed to be the fourth referee in the PSV Sporting game in the Champions League on Tuesday, but Gab, I didn't see him. Why?
And of course, you always look to see the fourth
Of course,
official. It's the funnest part of Champions League nights. This is a weird story. So Fabio Maresca, like other Serie A coaches, referees, they go in to earn a few extra bucks. They get flown into leagues elsewhere. He was in Kuwait. He was coaching. He was refereeing an Al Arabi game, and apparently he said, according to reports, he said, "See you next time. I'll kill you."
To one of the players.
Now, he disputes the "I'll kill you" part. In the meantime, there's an investigation. Pending that investigation, obviously, he was taken off the Champions League game. He's been taken off the referees registry for 1 month in Italy. Although, funny enough, not in Kuwait, so theoretically he could go back there.
Go there.
I don't know. I don't know the context. I don't know if he said it in anger. I don't know if he's messing around. I don't know if it's a miscommunication. Obviously, when you're a referee, you can't say that. But we should also remember all the things that players say to referees during games.
True.
Anyway, Jules, this brings us to an end.
Yeah.
I am going away. So next week, you'll be in here with
Don Hutchinson, I think, on Monday.
There you go.
Yeah.
Don, being well taken. I'm sure Don will do a fine job in my absence. Until then, love the game, love your neighbor, love yourself.